What's up, everybody? So if you read the title of this video, then you know exactly what it is that we're doing today. We've got a 2005 Chevy Silverado 1500 that is leaking terribly from the water pump. Now this is a pretty common issue with these things. You see it all the time. Once they hit about 100,000 miles or so, and sometimes even less, the water pump starts leaking. But no worries, it's not really a big deal. It's a normal maintenance item for these things, and they're actually pretty easy to do. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you guys step by step what needs to be removed to get to the water pump, how I do it, how easy it actually is, how long it's going to take you, and I'm even going to set the GoPro up on top of the hood and we'll do a time lapse of everything that goes on, and in between I'm going to give you guys little bits and pieces of the things I took off. So what we're going to start by doing is I'm going to show you guys the very beginning of what needs to be taken off to get down to the water pump, and then we'll set the GoPro up, we'll do the time lapse on it. You'll see that process happen, and then we'll come back. Alright, so the very first thing that needs to come off to get to the water pump is obviously this shroud right here. It's nothing more than plastic. It's got a bunch of these little tiny plastic clips right here that come out. Now, I have special pliers for these, but you can use a screwdriver or a pair of needle nose. And there is, I believe, 7 of them in total. Yeah, we got 4 across the front, 3 across the back. This will come off, and this will give us a little bit better access to some of the things we need to see. Then we need to take off the air intake. We'll take off the clamp here, and we'll remove this whole section. Then we're going to take the upper radiator hose off at the water pump, which is right down there, believe it or not. It's pretty easy to get to. We'll take that upper radiator hose off. Then we're going to take the upper fan shroud off. Then we're going to take the clutch fan off, and then we'll be at the water pump. And I'll bring you guys back and give you some more info when we get all of this stuff apart and we can actually get down to seeing the water pump. We're finally down to the water pump. It only took literally 5 minutes to get there. That's the water pump right there with this particular hose coming out of it. There's the fan, and then there's a surprise, a 15mm Matco wrench stuck at the bottom of the radiator fan shroud, which is kind of funny. I don't know how that didn't destroy the fan, or the radiator for that matter, which is totally fine. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to remove this fan. Now these are a pain. See that giant nut down there? You have to get a wrench on that, and you have to break that loose. That is the hardest part of this entire job, is actually getting that fan off of there. Luckily, we have a special tool for that. Now, this tool, if you have access to an air compressor and an air hammer, is going to save you so much frustration. Made by a company called Lyle, and it is a pneumatic fan clutch wrench set. Now what's super cool about this and the way that it works is it's got these little wrenches inside for all the various sizes of fan clutch nut. Then it's got this unit right here, this bar goes inside of a pneumatic hammer, an air hammer. You put it in there, you give it a couple blips real quick with one of these wrenches, and it comes right out. So we're going to get to doing that now, and I'll see if I can bring you guys along with that one. So we got the tool in place. You can see there the wrenches on the actual nut for the fan. These are normal everyday threads, righty tighty lefty loosey, so you don't have to worry about doing anything weird with that. Now it's got the rod in the hook, and then we go up to the air hammer. So all we have to do literally is this. And there we go. Now the fan will literally just spin right off. So that easy. Now if you don't have this tool, no need to worry really. They make a tool, I don't know how well you can see it down there. There's a little hole in this pulley. They make a tool that holds that pulley, and it comes with a really long wrench so you can get some good leverage on it. A lot of times what you can do too is put a big adjustable wrench on there that comes out to, you know, about here, and then just crack it with a hammer real quick, and that'll cut them loose. But that pneumatic tool is a lifesaver, and I think you can actually rent them at like Advanced Auto and AutoZone and Napa and stuff like that. So you should be able to get your hands on them to do this job. All right, so I'm going to take the fan off, take the belt off, and then we'll bring you guys back when we start pulling the water pump off. Now that we have the fan off, we can actually see the full water pump. It goes from about over there to roughly over there. This is the fan pulley right here. This is the water pump pulley. This is what drives it. They usually leak right from underneath this pulley, so it's hard to find where it's leaking from. Now, little word of advice on this one. Draining the cooling system can be a royal pain, like legitimately, because you'll drain the radiator, and then when you go to pull these hoses off here, this lower hose and the two heater hoses, you're going to get a shit ton of coolant that comes out anyway. So what I like to do is I actually put a bucket underneath with a big drain pan, and I'll pull one of the heater hoses off, probably the small one. Pull that heater hose off of there, and that'll allow me to drain out all this coolant in one shot without having to go through the radiator and all this other crap. So we're going to do that now. We got all the hoses drained, all the hoses disconnected, all the coolant is drained out. So now what we have to do to get this water pump off is we basically got 9 bolts. I'm sorry. This tensioner pulley needs to come off. There's 1 bolt here, 1 bolt here, and 1 underneath the pulley itself. So those are 15 millimeters and they all need to come out. Then you have 3 10mm bolts right there. Then you also have 3 10mm bolts under there. 1, 2, and 3. So we'll take all those bolts out, and this water pump will literally just come right off, and then we can put the brand new one back on again. Now a lot of times, this is the thermostat right here. This is the thermostat housing. Now you can buy these water pumps in several different ways. You can get them remanufactured, you can get them brand new, and you can get them remanufactured with a thermostat, without the thermostat. I always choose to go with the one with the thermostat, because GM used 2 different size thermostat housings in these trucks throughout pretty much every year in them, so you never know what you're going to get. So you may buy a water pump and your thermostat doesn't fit. And you know what? If you're in there and you're replacing the water pump anyway and everything is drained, you might as well do the thermostat. So save yourself some time, some money, some extra work. Do the thermostat when you do the pump. Buy a brand new pump with the thermostat housing already in it, and you will love yourself for it. All right, so we're going to get this pump off of here, and we'll get the new one bolted back on again. We'll get everything tightened back up, and we'll bring you back. Main failure point of these water pumps and these motors, these gaskets. That's going to be shadowy. Let's see if we can get you in there without the shadow. Right there. See this gasket? It's supposed to be all one piece and connected. It is not. So that is a potential leak problem. This one actually wasn't leaking from these yet, but it will. So we'll be replacing those. Here we are. It's all back together. We got the water pump in, the fan is on, the belt's back on, hoses are all connected. The only thing we have left to do is hook up that radiator hose and hook up the actual intake and fill it with coolant. Now, one of the second most difficult part of this entire job is that no matter how hard you try, you will never get all of the air bubbles out of this system. So what I do is I actually fill the system through this top hose. You end up pouring in about a gallon of coolant through this top hose, and you'll start to see it come up through the water pump here, Once you get to that point, you know you've got coolant throughout the entire system, and you have a much easier time bleeding all the air out of it. So we're going to fill it with coolant, put it back together, start it up, make sure there's no leaks, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Alright guys, so here we go. Back up and running. No leaks, no nothing. Now we just got to bleed the system out. We're going to let it cool off, and then we'll top off the coolant and it'll be done. Alright guys, I really hope you enjoyed that video. I wasn't initially going to film it, but you know, I know at least one of you guys out there has to have a Silverado or a GMC Sierra or something similar. Now this water pump replacement is exactly the same on any of the GM LS V8s, from the 4.8 liter, the 5.3, the 6.0, the 6.2, Gen 3, Gen 4, some of them, but all pretty much the same deal. So if you've got a 2500 or 3500 and it's got a gas LS based motor in it, then you're going to have this exact same procedure. It doesn't differ in any way, shape, or form. The only thing that might be a little bit different is on some of the newer models. I think 2007 and up, they use an electric fan on the 5.3 instead of a clutch fan, so you won't have the hassle of trying to get that off. But hopefully it was informative enough, and hopefully you guys are going to get something off of it, and hopefully maybe somebody's got one that's got a bad water pump and now you know how to fix it. So that was the video. Thanks everybody for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what else you want to see. If you want to see more of that stuff, I'll gladly do more of it. I'll film my day-to-day stuff and how-tos and everything else. So I will talk to you guys later. Have a good night.